Welcome to the Joe and Joe podcast.
This is a podcast for people who are learning English and also learning how to understand their thoughts and feelings in everyday life.
Today, we are going to sit down with a feeling that I think every single person listening has felt. It's not, it's not a happy feeling. It's that heavy sinking sensation you get. Maybe it's 3 a.m, you're staring at the ceiling, the house is quiet, and your brain decides to replay a movie of your life, but only the parts where you messed up.
Ah, the 3 a.m. tribunal. It's a universal court session, isn't it?
It is, exactly. The tribunal of, did I make the wrong choice? And it can be anything. I mean, it can be massive, life-altering stuff like, did I marry the wrong persons? Or should I have taken that job in London 10 years ago? Or it can be tiny nagging things like, ugh, why did I say that stupid thing at the dinner party?
It is a heavy topic, but I'm really glad we're doing this. We have a huge stack of research today. There are articles, a great TEDx talk, and especially the work of Daniel Pink, who wrote The Power of Regret. And what I love about this research is that it takes this dark, kind of scary emotion, and it puts it under a microscope.
Right. And usually when we feel regret, we just want to run away from it, don't we? We want to bury it or distract ourselves or just drown it out. But the mission today is to actually lean into it. We want to unpack what regret is, biologically, psychologically, and figure out how to live with it.
And not just live with it, but use it. That's the key shift we're aiming for today. We want to move from, I messed up and I'm a terrible person, to, okay, what is this data telling me?
Data. That is a very cold word for such a hot mess of feelings.
It is, yeah. But that detachment is kind of what we need. And for listeners who use these deep dives to, sharpen their language skills, this topic is a goldmine. The language of regret is really specific. We're going to look at how we talk about the past, specifically using structures like the third conditional, and how changing your grammar can actually change your mindset.
I like that. Grammar is therapy.
Yeah.
But let's start with the feeling itself. Because I think we need to set the scene. In the age of social media, regret feels like it's on steroids.
Oh, absolutely.
You wake up, you open Instagram, and you see someone from your high school. And they're in Bali. They look tan, they look rich, they look settled. And suddenly your life in your small apartment, it just feels like a mistake. You think, I took a wrong turn. If I'd have just done what they did, I'd be happy.
That comparison engine is just brutal. But, that specific feeling that if only, that's the core of what we're discussing. But before we get into the science of it, I want to do a quick tone check.
Yeah, let's be really clear about what this is.
This is not a no regrets episode. We see that slogan everywhere, don't we? No regrets. It's on T-shirts. It's on bumper stickers.
It's tattooed on people's bodies, usually right above a tattoo that they probably regret.
Ironically, yes. But we are not going to preach no regrets because, as we'll see from the sources, no regrets is actually a pretty dangerous philosophy. If you truly have no regrets, it means you're not paying attention. Or even worse, you might be a sociopath.
Sociopath.
Well, think about it. I mean, regret requires you to reflect on your behavior and wish you had done better, right? If you never do that, you aren't learning. Regret is a signal. It's just your brain trying to teach you something.
Okay, so let's get into that brain. What is actually happening when we spiral? For me, it feels like a loop. I just go round and round and round. What if, what if, what if?
That loop has a name. In psychology, it's called rumination. It actually comes from the Latin word for chewing cud, like a cow.
Oh,
Yeah, you just chew on the same thought over and over, but you never actually swallow it or digest it.
That is a disgusting but incredibly accurate image. I am just mentally chewing my cud.
But the feeling of regret itself is distinct from just, say, sadness. The sources describe it as a highly cognitive process.
Cognitive.
Yeah.
Meaning it's a thinking process, not just a raw emotion like fear.
Exactly. Fear is primal. A dog feels fear. But a dog probably doesn't feel regret, not in this complex sense. Catherine Linton, in her TEDx talk, she points out that regret lights up the orbital frontal cortex.
The orbital frontal cortex. Okay, let's break that down. What does that part of the brain actually do?
So think of the orbital frontal cortex as a really sophisticated flight simulator for your life. Its job is to run 2 movies at the same time. Movie A is reality, what actually happened. And movie B is the hypothetical, what could have happened.
So to feel regret, I have to be able to imagine a world that doesn't exist.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You have to compare reality to a fantasy. And the pain, the regret, it comes from the gap between the two. If you can't imagine a better outcome, you can't feel regret.
That's so interesting. So if I get struck by lightning, I don't regret it. I might be sad or, in a lot of pain, but I don't think I should have dodged.
Right, unless You saw the storm coming and decided to go play golf anyway? Then you regret the choice. And this brings us to a really important vocabulary distinction from our sources, the difference between lament and regret.
Lament. I feel like that's a word we only see in old poetry. He lamented his fate.
It is a bit old-fashioned, but it's such a useful distinction. To lament is to feel deep sadness about something that is largely out of your control. You lament the fact that it rained on your wedding day. You lament that your favorite restaurant closed down.
Right. It sucks, but it's not my fault.
Exactly. But regret implies agency. It implies that you were holding the steering wheel. You could have turned left, but you turned right. The word itself comes from these French and Old Norse roots that means something like to look back and weep. It's personal.
So regret is the price of freedom. If we didn't have free will, or at least the illusion of it, we wouldn't have regret.
That is a really profound way to put it, yes. It's the burden of choice. And according to Daniel Pink's research, which is massive, there are two main categories of this burden.
And this is the action versus inaction split.
Correct. Pink divides all regrets into regret of action and regret of inaction.
Okay, let's dig into these because I think they feel very different. Regrets of action are the things we did. We pulled the trigger, we bought the thing, we said the words.
Yes. I shouldn't have bought that expensive car. I shouldn't have cheated on that test. I shouldn't have sent that angry email at midnight.
We've all sent that email, and the immediate feeling is just, it's hot, isn't it? Like panic.
Yes, it's a hot emotion. It burns. You feel stupid. You feel embarrassed. But here is the fascinating thing the research shows. Regrets of action are actually easier to deal with.
Really, because they feel absolutely terrible in the moment.
They do. But usually there's a remedy. If you buy the car, you can sell it. You might lose some money, but you can fix it. If you send the email, you can apologize.
You can try to make amends.
If you get the bad tattoo, you can get laser removal. Because you took an action, you can take another action to correct it.
Ah, I see. But then we have the regrets of inaction.
The things we didn't do.
I should have asked her out. I should have applied for that promotion. I should have visited my grandmother before she passed away.
And these are harder.
Much harder. Because they're ghosts. You don't know what would have happened.
Ah, I see what you mean. With the car, I know the car sucks. I drive it. It breaks down. I know it was a mistake. But with the girl I didn't ask out, in my head, she's perfect. We would have had a perfect life.
Exactly. The inaction regret has to compete with your imagination. And your imagination is always, always going to paint a rosier picture than reality. You imagine that if you had started that business, you'd be the next Steve Jobs. You don't imagine the bankruptcy, the stress, the failure.
So we are haunted by a fantasy.
We are. And there's a timeline aspect here that is so crucial for you to understand.
What's the timeline?
In the short term, like this week, this month, people mostly regret actions. I ate too much pizza. I skipped the gym. Simple things. But over the long term, we're talking 10, 20, 50 years,
Yeah.
people overwhelmingly regret inactions.
That is huge. So right now, today, I'm worried about looking stupid. But when I'm 80, I'm not going to care about the times I look stupid. I'll care about the times I didn't even try.
Precisely. The sting of embarrassment fades, but the ache of what if grows.
This feels like the perfect time to talk about the language of this. Because when we have these conversations in our heads, we're using a very specific grammar structure.
We are, and I know grammar can sound dry, but think of this as the architecture of regret. The structure we use to build these thoughts is called the third conditional.
The third conditional, it does sound technical. Can we unpack it?
It's the formula for rewriting the past. It works like this. If plus the past perfect, and then would have plus the past participle.
Okay, let's hear it in the wild.
If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam.
Okay. If I had studied, that's the condition, right? The thing that didn't happen. I didn't study.
Right. That first part, it anchors you in the reality of your failure. You're admitting, I did not study. And then the second part, I would have passed. That just launches you right into the fantasy.
It's a brutal sentence structure, isn't it? It connects the failure directly to the lost reward.
It really is. If I had taken that job, I would have been rich. If I had left earlier, I wouldn't have missed the flight.
To everyone listening, I want you to just pause for a second. Don't just listen to us. Think of one thing that's bothering you right now, one regret, and try to force it into that sentence structure. If I had, I would have.
It's so powerful because it forces you to identify the cause and the effect. It stops that vague feeling of sadness, and it turns it into a clear statement.
So we have the structure. Now let's look at the content. Daniel Pink didn't just theorize about this. He went out and got the data.
He did. He launched something called the World Regret Survey. He collected over 16,000 responses from 105 countries.
Wow. That is a lot of sad people.
It is. And can you imagine the spreadsheet? 16,000 rows of human heartbreak. He expected to find huge cultural differences. He thought maybe Americans regret career stuff and people in India regret family stuff.
Yeah.
He was wrong. It turns out regret is the same everywhere. Whether you're a farmer in Iowa or a banker in Tokyo, you have the same 4 core regrets.
Just 4. That seems kind of reductive. Life is so complicated.
It is, but Pink argues that almost every specific story, it just boils down to one of 4 deep human needs.
Okay, let's walk through them. The 4 pillars of regret. What's number 1?
Number 1 is foundation regrets. This sounds like, if only I had done the work.
If only I had done the work. So this is the boring stuff, right?
It's the unsexy stuff. It's health, it's finance, it's education. If only I had saved money in my 20s. If only I hadn't started smoking. If only I'd finished my degree.
This is basically the ant and the grasshopper fable.
Exactly. These regrets, they reveal our need for stability. When we ignore the foundation, our life just feels shaky. It's the slow accumulation of bad choices. You don't regret skipping one workout, you regret skipping 10 years of workouts.
And that hits hard because it's entirely our fault. It's just simple discipline. What's the second one?
The second one is boldness regrets. This is the biggest category. If only I had taken the chance.
So this goes back to the inaction thing.
Yes. This is the crush you didn't talk to, the business you didn't start, the trip around the world you didn't take. These regrets reveal our deep need for growth.
We want to expand.
We do. We want to live what psychologists call a psychologically rich life. When we play it safe, we think we're being smart. We think we're avoiding the pain of rejection or failure. But actually, we're just banking a boldness regret for later.
I read somewhere in the notes that people regret not asking someone out way more than they regret being rejected.
Statistically, yes. Rejection stings for, what, a week? But wondering what if can last a lifetime.
That's terrifying. Okay, number 3.
Moral regrets. If only I had done the right thing.
Ooh, this one feels a lot heavier.
It is. This is about bullying, lying, cheating, stealing. Pink found stories of people who are 80 years old still losing sleep because they bullied a kid in the 5th grade.
That is incredible 70 years later.
70 years later. It shows that our conscience is incredibly durable. These regrets reveal our need for goodness. Most of us, deep down, we want to see ourselves as good people. And when we violate our own code, it just leaves a stain that's very hard to wash out.
I guess that's actually a hopeful thing. In a way, it means we aren't sociopaths. We care about being good.
Exactly. And the final one is connection regrets. If only I had reached out.
This is about relationships.
Parents, children, old friends. And here's the key insight from the research. These relationships, they usually don't end in a giant explosion. We imagine a big fight with screaming and throwing plates.
But usually it's just silence.
It's the drift. You mean to call, but you're busy. Then it's been 6 months, and suddenly it feels awkward. You think, oh, they probably don't want to hear from me, so you don't call. Then it's been 5 years. Then it's too late.
That awkwardness is such a huge barrier. We let a tiny bit of social anxiety just destroy a lifelong friendship.
We do. And this reveals our need for love. So, we have stability, growth, goodness, and love. If you look at your regrets, they are just a mirror showing you which of these 4 things you value the most.
That is a really powerful reframing. So if I'm obsessing over a boldness regret, it just means I value growth. I'm not a failure. I'm just an ambitious person who got scared.
Exactly. And I would ask you, listening right now, which of the 4 is loud for you? Is it foundation, boldness, moral, or connection?
For me, it's definitely boldness. I always look back at the risks I didn't take.
And knowing that is data. It tells you that in the future, when you face a risk, maybe you should lean into it.
But that's the hard part, isn't it? We know we should take the risk. We know we should call the friend, but we get stuck. Why do we freeze?
This brings us to the fear of regret. The TEDx talk by Catherine Linton, she discusses something called regret aversion.
Regret aversion. So we're so afraid of feeling bad later that we do nothing now.
Yes, we're trying to pregame our emotions. We're trying to predict the future. And this leads to analysis paralysis.
I love that phrase, analysis paralysis. You analyze so much that you become paralyzed.
The sources mention the distinction between maximizers and satisficers. This is so crucial for anyone who struggles with decisions.
Okay, define them.
A maximizer is someone who needs to make the absolute perfect choice. If they're buying a pair of jeans, they need to check every store, compare every price, read every review. They need to know that there is no better pair of jeans in the entire universe.
That sounds completely exhausting and honestly impossible.
It is, and the research shows maximizers are generally miserable. Even when they pick a great pair of jeans, they worry that there might have been a better one out there.
And the Satisficer?
A Satisficer has criteria. They say, okay, I need jeans that fit, cost under $50, and are blue. They walk into the first store, find a pair that matches, buy them, and leave.
See, Satisficer sounds like settling. It sounds like mediocrity. Good enough. Shouldn't we strive for the best?
That's the trap. The maximizer thinks they're striving for the best, but actually, they are just increasing their own anxiety. The Satisficer isn't settling. They're accepting the reality of bounded rationality. They're saving their mental energy for things that actually matter.
This reminds me of the JAM study. I love this study.
The famous Sheena Iyengar study. Let's paint the scene for you. An upscale grocery store. 2 different days.
Day 1, the table has 24 different flavors of exotic jam. You know, kiwi lime, strawberry balsamic, everything.
It looks amazing. It attracts a huge crowd. Everyone wants to taste.
Day 2, the table has only 6 flavors, just the basics.
And here's the kicker. On the day with 24 jams, almost nobody bought anything.
Why?
Because with 24 choices, the fear of picking the wrong one was overwhelming. What if I buy the kiwi lime and it's gross? I'll regret not buying the strawberry. The potential for regret was so high they just walked away.
They chose nothing rather than risk a small regret.
But on the day with 6 jams, sales went through the roof. People looked, said, that looks good, and bought it. 10 times more sales.
10 times. That is wild. It explains why Netflix is so hard. You spend 45 minutes scrolling through 5,000 movies and then you just go to sleep.
Exactly. We're drowning in choice, and we're terrified of the opportunity cost.
So, Linton, in the TEDx talk, she says, it's just jam.
Yeah, it's just jam. Most decisions in life are jam. The stakes are low. If you pick the wrong movie or the wrong restaurant or even the wrong apartment, it's not the end of the world. You can handle the regret.
Okay, so we need to stop trying to be perfect. But what about the big regrets we already have? The ones from 10 years ago that still hurt? How do we fix those?
This is the healing part. We need to reframe our relationship with our past self. We talked about bounded rationality earlier.
Right. Break that down for us.
Bounded rationality just means that humans are not supercomputers. When you made that bad decision in the past, you were operating within strict boundaries. You had limited information. You had limited emotional maturity. You had limited time.
So judging my 25-year-old self with my 35-year-old brain is actually unfair.
It's a rigged trial. You're the prosecutor, judge, and jury. And the defendant isn't even allowed to speak. You're using hindsight bias. You know how the story ends, but your past self didn't.
One of the sources has a mantra for this. New information, same person.
I love that. New information, same person. You haven't become a worse person. You've just acquired new data. If you could time travel back to that moment with the data you have now, of course you'd make a different choice. But you can't.
This is where language helps again. There are specific phrases we can use to soften this judgment.
Yes. Instead of saying, I was so stupid, try using phrases that contextualize. Use phrases like, at the time.
At the time, I was just trying to survive. At the time, I was completely heartbroken.
Exactly. Or use in hindsight or looking back.
Looking back, I can see why that was a mistake, but it made sense then.
It made sense then. That is such a powerful sentence. It validates your past reality. It treats your past self with compassion.
Pink talks about self-compassion a lot, and I struggle with this. I feel like if I'm too nice to myself, I'll become lazy. Like I need to beat myself up to stay ambitious.
That is a very common belief.
Yeah.
I need the whip to keep moving.
Yeah.
But the research shows the exact opposite is true.
Really?
Yes. Shame shuts you down. If you beat yourself up every single time you fail, eventually you become afraid to try. You stop taking risks because you are afraid of your own internal bully.
Wow. Afraid of your own internal bully. That really lands.
But if you practice self-compassion, if you treat yourself like you would treat a friend, you create a safety net. You know that if you fail, you aren't going to destroy yourself. And that actually makes you more likely to take bold risks.
So compassion fuels ambition. It doesn't kill it.
Precisely.
Okay, let's get practical. We've done the theory. We've done the grammar. What are the tools? If I am stuck in a regret loop today, what do I actually do?
The first rule is action over analysis. You cannot think your way out of a regret loop. You have to act your way out.
So doing something imperfectly is better than sitting there thinking perfectly.
Always. Motion breaks the paralysis.
Hmm.
But we have some specific techniques. One of my favorites is the 10-10-10 rule.
How does that work?
When you're stressed about a decision, you ask 3 questions. 1, how will I feel about this in 10 minutes? 2, how will I feel about this in 10 months? And 3, how will I feel about this in 10 years?
Give me an example.
Okay, let's say you're thinking about asking your boss for a raise, but you're scared. In 10 minutes, you might feel anxious, maybe rejected, it's high stress. In 10 months, you'll probably be fine either way. In 10 years, you won't even remember the meeting. Or you'll be glad you stood up for yourself.
It forces you to zoom out. It shrinks the fear down to size.
Exactly. It shows you that the immediate emotion is temporary, but the long-term consequence is what really matters.
Another tool mentioned is the decision journal.
This is for preventing future regrets. Whenever you make a big decision, write it down. Write down what you decided, why you decided it, and what you expect to happen.
So you're creating a record for yourself.
You're creating evidence.
Yeah.
So 2 years later, if it goes wrong, you can look back and read your logic. You can see, oh, I wasn't being stupid. I made a logical choice based on the facts I had. It kills that revisionist history.
That is smart. And what about the regrets we can't fix? The closed doors, the marriage that's over.
Pink suggests the downward counterfactual. We usually do upward counterfactuals. We look up at the perfect life we missed. If only I had stayed married, I'd be happy.
And the downward counterfactual is looking down.
It's the at least game. You compare your situation to a worse one. I regret the divorce, it was so painful, but at least I have my amazing children from that marriage. Or, I regret getting fired, but at least it forced me to move to this city where I met my best friends.
Some people hate the at least game. It can feel like toxic positivity.
It can be, for sure, if you use it to ignore your feelings. You have to feel the sadness first. But once you've felt it, the at least helps you find the silver lining. It transforms the regret from a pure loss into a mixed picture. It was bad, but it gave me this good thing.
And finally, for the connection regrets, the lost friends.
This is the simplest advice in the entire book. Pink is so adamant about this. If you are wondering, should I reach out? The answer is always yes.
Always. What if it's been 10 years? What if it's weird?
Especially if it's been 10 years. He says we vastly overestimate how awkward it will be. We think, oh, they'll think I'm weird. They'll reject me.
And we underestimate how happy they'll probably be to hear from us.
Correct. Think about it. If you got a random text from an old friend today saying, hey, I was just thinking about you, hope you're well, would you think, what a creep?
No, I'd think, that's so nice.
Exactly. So just do it. Send the text. Make the call. The regret of not doing it is way heavier than the 2 seconds of awkwardness you might feel.
Just reach out. I like that. It just cuts through all the noise.
Action over analysis.
We have covered so much ground today, from the flight simulator in our brains to the 16,000 people in that survey.
It is a deep topic.
So to summarize, regret is not a bug in your system. It's a feature. It proves you have a working brain and a working heart.
It proves you want stability, growth, goodness, and love. And those are beautiful things to want.
We can't change the past. The text is sent. The job is gone. But we can change the story we tell ourselves about it. We can stop being the prosecutor and start being the student.
And we can use that data to make a better choice tomorrow.
I want to leave you with a final thought that really stuck with me from the reading. It's an old proverb. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
That is the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? Don't let the regret of not starting sooner stop you from starting today.
You have survived 100% of your so-called wrong choices so far. You are still here. You are resilient.
Absolutely. Trust yourself.
So here is our challenge for you, the listener. We want you to do one thing today, just one small thing you have been putting off because you are afraid of regretting it.
Is it a phone call? Is it signing up for that class? Is it buying the weird flavor of jam?
Whatever it is, just do it. Break the paralysis.
Send the text. Buy the jam.
Thank you for diving deep with us.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, please consider subscribing to our channel. It really helps us continue these conversations.
And maybe share this episode with them. It might be what they need to hear today.
We really loved spending this time with you, and we look forward to exploring a new topic with you in our next episode.
Take care, everyone.
See you soon.